Does everybody know what a goblet is? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite movements, and that is called the goblet squat. Now, does everybody know what a goblet is? We're going to hold the dumbbell like so. If you see the way that my hands are, they're in a U shape, which looks just like the top of a goblet cup, hence the name goblet squat. We're going to want it to be close to our body. We don't want to hold it all the way out here because that's going to turn it from a lower body movement into a shoulder movement. So you want to keep the dumbbell nice and close to the body. The top of the dumbbell should be just right underneath the chin. As far as our feet are concerned, we want to start with a slightly wider than hip width stance. And as far as our toes, we want to point them just slightly out. Now that's going to help with ankle mobility when we're at the bottom of the movement. When a lot of people squat, they like to use squat shoes. Me personally, I prefer Vans or Chucks. The reason being is during a squat, it is super important to have that good foot control, especially at the bottom of the movement. So you want to make sure your foot is in contact with the ground or a flat surface and able to really screw in and have you push off of the ground. Whereas if you're wearing a thick sole shoe, it's not conducive to the bottom of the movement where you have to push off because you're not in a stable, you're not on a stable surface due to the thickness of the sole. So again, my preference is a flat shoe, such as Vans. As opposed to a movement such as the barbell back squat, the goblet squat is a front-loaded movement, so it requires a lot of core stability. Now, since it's front-loaded, if I were not to engage my core, this is what would happen. The weight would just drag me forward. But if my core is engaged, and it's a front movement here, you can see my torso is not totally straight, it's not totally upright, but since that core is stable, the torso is going to be more of in an upright position, not totally vertical, but more of an upright position as opposed to a back barbell squat where you might see the torso bend more forward because the weight, the load is on the shoulders. That's going to push me forward. I'm just going to show you what a few reps of the goblet squat should look like. Now, if you notice, my elbows are inside of my knees at the bottom of the movement. Also, my knee stays in line with my toes. You don't want to see your knees cave in, nor do you want to see them all the way out here. You want to make sure that knee stays in line with the toe. A good cue for that is going to be your feet during the movement. What we want to think about is having your feet go away from each other, but they're not actually moving. So once you get your foot position, once you have your correct foot position and you begin the descent, think about your feet moving away from each other, but at the same time they're screwed into the ground, if that makes sense. So that will keep my knee over my toe, thinking of trying to spread those feet or spread the floor, spread the ground away from me. A lot of times people come up to me in the gym and they ask me, what would cause knee pain during a squat? Now, while it could be a variety of reasons, one of the main culprits that I see is the technique that's used for the squat. And I'll explain further. Think about the squat as not just a knee bend, but also a hip movement. If we're standing here and we're getting ready to squat, and we're just thinking about bending our knees, well, I'm gonna bend and look at my weight distribution. Just going right down into my knees. But if I think about it in the sense of, yes, it's a knee bend, but also my hips shooting back and I'm sitting into a seat. So you're sitting into that squat. Now I'm here, and now that weight distribution is a lot different. It's going to be on the quads, which is what we are looking for. So again, don't just look at it as a knee bending movement, but as a movement where the hips shoot back and you're sitting into that squat. That makes a world of a difference in the movement, and it's going to shift the tension from your knees onto your quads, which is where you want it. All right, guys, and that is the goblet squat. If you want to support the brand, there is some new merch out. I'll leave the link in the description box down below. Definitely some nice stuff in there. Pick you some up. Definitely would appreciate you supporting the brand. As always, thank you for watching the video. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we will see you guys on the next one.